Our Tom Homan. Now, Tom, if that is not good enough for Chris Van Hollen, who traveled to El Salvador today to check on this aggrieved prisoner, or the folks over at some of the other cable networks, then I guess they'll have proven all of our points tonight.
You mean Chris Van Hollen, the guy that didn't want to sign the Laken Riley Act that protects American citizens against illegal alien criminal gang members? Who, instead of protecting Americans, his constituents, his taxpayers, he goes to El Salvador and defends an illegal alien with a deportation order that's a member of MS-13 that's been designated a terrorist organization by President Trump. That's where he went to defend it. It's just disgusting. The same senator who state yesterday released an illegal alien charged with murder, refused the ICE detainer, hit the street. So rather than protecting his community, protecting the residents of Maryland, he goes to El Salvador to coddle an MS-13 gang member terrorist. It's ridiculous. And also, I talked to an MS-13 expert today who also showed me pictures of his hand, where he says absolutely the tattoo on one of his hands was absolutely an MS-13 gang tattoo, nothing questionable about it. 2 judges said he's an MS-13 member. ICE says he's an MS-13 member. Intelligence community says he's an MS-13 member. El Salvador says he's an MS-13 member. So, you know, it's just ridiculous. And as far as all the people who are speaking out against us, I cannot believe for a minute there's that many stupid people in the world. Now, AOC, on the smart meter, she's a 0. We'll give them that. But I can't believe these people really believe what they're saying. They got to be just pushing the narrative for political reasons. They can't be that dumb to think that that this person is an MS-13 gang member and a public safety threat.
Tom, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, yesterday said that he was also involved in human trafficking. Is there evidence of that in addition to the MS-13 evidence?
There's some information in some files that he may have been involved in human trafficking. MS-13 are famous for human trafficking. MS-13 are famous for bringing little girls into our country, minors, and prostituting them and putting them in the forced sex trade. They have also known in high schools to take young girls and bring them into the gang and put them on the street to prostitute. That's one of the main causes of their finances is prostitution of young girls across the United States. MS-13's in over 20 countries across the globe. They're actually in I think they're in 48 states in the United States now. They're a big organization. But you know where they're not? You know where they're not active? El Salvador. Because President Bukele shut them down. They don't exist on the streets in El Salvador.
Are you concerned about Judge Boasberg's contempt order and the discussion surrounding that, given this consensus among the elite legal set, Tom, that you all are defying, essentially defying the Supreme Court here?
No. Look, I've been doing this job since 1984, and I worked for the greatest president in my lifetime. I don't care if people like me saying that or not. He proves it every day. We secure the border. Today, while I'm talking to you, the border's the most secure in the history of this nation. He did that in 7 weeks, and Biden couldn't do it in 4 years. We have arrested more criminal alien gang members, public safety threats, and national security threats in 2 months than Joe Biden did in 2 years. No, I think we did the right thing. The law enforcement professionals at ICE, they swear under oath that this person is MS-13. Again, you got 2 federal judges saying it's MS-13. I think we did the right thing. As far as the notion that, well, he had a withholding order not to be removed to El Salvador, he's not an illegal alien. He's just not an illegal alien anymore. He's a designated terrorist. There's a different level of due process for terrorists. So I think we stand by our guns. I think we did the right thing, and I think the Attorney General of the United States agrees that we did the right thing. So we'll stand by that.
All right, Tom, thank you, as always.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.